Great morning, super fantastic morning. I am Shay Wilson, thinking big, living bigger, and loving the biggest. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. Happy Juneteenth. It's early. I know some of you guys are taking advantage of the fact that you are off work today, and I don't blame you. So you may not be up as early, but let me get this going. Let me get this set up for everybody. My privacy settings tend to default to only me for some reason, and I have to do this every time. But here we go, here we go, here we go. Great morning, guys. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, everyone celebrating out there. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers on yesterday. I hope you were celebrated and continue to be celebrated today. I hope everyone today has an amazing day full of fun, food, and fellowship, and just good fortune. I hope that you're feeling good this morning. Today, we're going to talk about the power within us and following our intuition. Again, I'm going through Florence Scovel Shinn's book, The Magic Path of Intuition. We're talking about the power within us, and how do we hear, how do we listen, how do we know, and what intuition is. And so let's just start with the idea of the definition of what intuition is in decision making. In decision making, it is the way people make decisions naturally without any procedures or tools. All right. So we're talking about you hear the older people, at least my grandmother and her peers would say the still small voice within us that would just guide us through things, knowing without having book knowledge of that type of thing, just knowing what to do in our gut, what to do, and then changing. And then intuition as a whole is the ability to understand something immediately and without conscious reasoning, and you just don't know why you just know, and many times though we're guided. And so we're talking about faith here and how we get the power that's already within us, the answers that's within us already out. How do we do that? And most of the time, all the time, we have a super conscious, and really what we call God, that is guiding us, that the answers are within us already. If we can just get that, everything is always working out for us because the answers are truly within us already, but we tend to miss them because we go so fast. We don't think to tap into that power. We don't think to stop and ask the universe, God, source for help. We just kind of keep moving. We kind of keep moving. And so on this day, I just wanted to stop by just for a little bit and just talk a little bit about how we follow our intuition and the faith that helps us with that. So because if we won't follow our intuition if we haven't practiced faith. And so it goes hand in hand, and we know faith is the assurance of things hoped for, and the conviction of these things that's not seen. Faith is a complete trust in that I know that this is going to happen. And how do we do it? So many times nowadays, what we say to do is we setting the goal is to make a plan and then set objectives, and then we go toward, we say we can do those objectives. But every now and then there are things that guide us, if just instinctively, that towards something else. It will say to do something different than what your plan is, and we may or may not follow that. And there is what we're talking about with intuition comes in. Or you're driving down the street and it says, oh, it's something instinctively just says kind of turn. Your intuition tells you to turn right, and you say, well, I always go straight. And so that was your intuition talking. You run into traffic, or you run into all this thing that stops you and delays you. And if you would have just gone to the right when you thought it, or when it came to you to do it. And so it's a thing that I'm still practicing on how to follow it, because it doesn't override our everyday thinking. Many times in our faith, we want things, and we prayed for things, and the intuitive nudge is trying to get us to do certain things, but because we do things a certain way, because we see in reality the obstacles, the challenges, we override it many times. And so following our intuition is if you can get this down to start learning how to do this, is a powerful thing. How to follow your intuition, because many times we have gotten caught up in what was happening in our physical world, and this is a supernatural thing that comes up. Come on with me, come on. Listen, I know it's Juneteenth, but I'm gonna talk with this, and I'm so fascinated by this myself, following my intuition. So let me give you something from me. What I've learned is that fear is very funny. It can mask itself in many ways. It'll mask itself in not going in after opportunities. It'll mask itself in not following our ideas. Again, this is the intuition talking to us on what we'll get an idea, and then we'll overthink that idea, and then now we're not doing anything about it. Now we're procrastinating about it, and eventually we lose it, and then we'll get something else. Understand that the our spiritual entourage, I say, our angels, our guides, if you want to say that, are constantly trying to guide us to where we say we want to go. What happens, though, many times that we talk ourselves out of it, because we're looking at the challenges, because we'll look at our bank account and say, well, shoot, that's not how I say, this is not what it says to do right here. But remember, faith is doing things, believing in something unseen. So you're going to have to make moves towards something without without seeing the outcome right now. And again, we have a gestation period on all this stuff. We have a gestation period when we ask for something. I absolutely believe that when we ask for something, it is done in the supernatural, in the vortex, if you want, for lack of another term. But we have to line up with it. We have to line up with the energy of it. We have to truly believe it. It's hard moving as such. That is our issue. That is a huge problem, because we still want to see it. And that is not the faith part. That's what we lack. It's the seeing it. We want to see, well, if I make this move, I want to make sure that's going to happen. And that's not how faith works. You have to absolutely believe it. So what happens with that is we have intuition that helps us. It just kind of helps us. But if we don't hear it, if we don't get quiet enough, if we don't then we miss it many times. We miss it many times. So what we're trying to get to is start to think about, am I following my intuition? Am I following that gut, my gut? How am I practicing following those things so that I can move into the place I want to go? And this is, again, sometimes you have to practice faith. Sometimes you have to take minor steps and then another step and another, and see those come into fruition before we can even get going. You have to practice a relationship that we know, and it comes from just constantly doing it and moving towards it. So when we're looking at the path of intuition and working with the power within us, we must have a time where we're sitting, and I constantly speak about meditation, because that is the most powerful thing ever. They say we have about 60,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of them are the same thoughts, which means the same thoughts end up the same results. And therefore, so what meditation does, it breaks up those normal thought processes. It allows you to sit, and it allows you your natural solution source to come forth. I say your intuition to speak to you. Some say your inner being. Some say the Holy Spirit to speak to you. Once you stop talking, once you stop praying, so that you can hear the answer, and once you get to that place, that what are you clear about having? What do you want? And then you move towards something else. And so one of the things I would love for you to comment when you get up, or what happened when you see this video, is, am I following my intuition? Am I spending enough time? Am I hearing my intuition? Because it's there. How well am I doing with that? And if I'm not, where's my faith level at? Because I literally believe that all things are possible, and all things are possible for me. But in the process of that, I must move things out of the way. Old perceptions, old beliefs and thoughts and convictions that block what I want to do. These beliefs, some of the beliefs that we hold dearly, convictions, literally are blocking us from what we keep asking for. And so I'm like, okay, well, let me figure out how we're going to do this. And part of it is learning how to follow and trust my intuition. We had it when we were little, and it's kind of what we kind of get out of it, and we start thinking more consciously about what we're doing. And so therefore I always say we adult very well. We don't give the God of our understanding a hearing at all. We just do, and then if it's a mess, then we come back and we take care of it. We ask God to, hey, help me. But we never ask, we never intentionally say, this is what I want to do. Guide me through this. I will follow. That is a faith walk. That is something totally different. And it's not just about setting goals. We want to set goals. We want to make a plan. We want to strategize. But if we're talking about a supernatural effort, helping us do things beyond what we think we can do, it's following our intuition, and that power is within us. And that's just an introduction to this. I'm still marinating. I love this kind of time. I just marinating on this, following our intuition. And what does that look like for you? Are you doing that? What is your faith like right now? All right, guys, that's where it's at right there today. Hope you have an amazing rest of the weekend. Happy Juneteenth. Don't forget, happy Juneteenth. And while we're celebrating Juneteenth, and let's rock and roll. Bye, guys. I'm Shay Wilson, thinking big, living bigger, and loving the biggest. Boom. Let's go. Bye, guys.